Welcome to the Herd's official YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the Colin Cowherd podcast, all of our NFL instant reactions, and more football content. Joel Klatt will be calling Ohio State and Michigan Saturday at noon Eastern on Fox. So last year, even though I really admire Ryan Day and like him a lot, I think he's a great football coach. I did think he outthought the room. I think he'd been pushed around by Michigan, and in the Midwest, there's a different kind of stylistic approach, and he's like, we're going to punch Michigan in the mouth. And it's like, just throw the ball. you got great players. Just play your game. And I think he played Michigan's game, fooled around, played with his food a little bit, and it caught him. They got a little tight late. I think if at least Carnell Tate can play, I think Ohio State is the significantly better team here. Do you believe that?
Well, I mean, yes, they're the better team, and that's why the spread is where it was. But they were, I would think, better by a wider margin a year ago. I mean, they were 20-point favorites a year ago. So to your point, they got sucked into a game that was Michigan's game. I firmly believe. I think Will Howard got banged up early in that game last year.
Yeah,
I firmly believe that Ryan and his coaching staff felt like a field goal would win the game because they didn't feel like Michigan with their quarterback play was going to be able to score on their defense. And so here's Ohio State. They get into the red zone 5 times last year and come away with 10 total points. That was the game. 2 missed field goals, an interception in the red zone. So those mistakes are what ultimately cost them the game. And they could have played the exact same style. Now, I think what they learned from that was what they then put into action for the playoff. And Colin, you and I both know that Buckeye team in the playoff was a different team, and they were aggressive down the field. You look at what they did early in that game against Tennessee at home in the first round. They took shots to Jeremiah Smith. They used Smith early and often against Oregon where they were routing them in the first half of that Rose Bowl. And those are the lessons that I think need to come into play this week for Ohio State. Be themselves. Attack down the field. And obviously the health of those wide receivers is a bit in question. I remain optimistic that they'll both be on the field. I think their effectiveness is more the question than their availability. I think Smith will be on the field. I think Tate will be on the field. But are they 100%? Can they attack those safeties of Michigan down the field and cause them some level of threat? I think that's really where the game is won and lost for Ohio State.
So, listen, I think Notre Dame is better than Miami now, and I think college football is about 30 to 35% NFL now. September just doesn't matter like it used to. I said this before the Ohio State-Texas game. If it's close, I don't care who wins. I said it about Oregon-Ohio State the year before. If it's close, it doesn't matter. They scheduled it. I'm proud of both schools for scheduling it. You step up to the table. I love that. My biggest knock on college football has always been a lack of people willing to play, go to Columbus out of conference or go to Norman, Oklahoma. So, my feeling is Notre Dame is better than Miami today, and ugly losses are really – that's one thing that usually the people on these tables and these boards get right. You can't lose to unranked teams if you're a top 5-10 team. So I'm okay with – a much improved team by an inch better than Miami. Miami still has to beat Pitt. But I know you are probably bothered deeply about the current rankings that has Notre Dame over them.
I'm not bothered. I think that 2 things can be true at once. If the committee's objective is just to give us the best teams and they ask themselves in the room, who wins on a neutral site this week?
Yeah.
I'd pick Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So in that respect, do I disagree with the ranking? No. But the committee is setting themselves up for a bit of a trap. And that trap is the head-to-head matchup against Miami. Because if we're not honoring games on the field, then what are we doing? Then why are we playing them? Then let's just sit there and have a beauty pageant and look at the recruiting rankings and look at the rosters and the way that they're constructed and how many stars each, so I don't want to get into a beauty pageant either. There's also another trap that this committee is falling into, and it's not honoring those non-conference games that you just talked about. Now, I do want to clarify just something really quickly because the Miami-Notre Dame game is part of the ACC scheduling agreement that Notre Dame has. So that's a little bit out of their control. What I would say is more impressive is that they also scheduled Texas A&M.
Yes.
Well, you've got this team in Michigan that's sitting there at 15, and they're in the bottom of the 2 lost teams. And yet, one of their losses is at Oklahoma. They scheduled that game, did not buy out of that game, and played it.
Yep.
And the committee is not honoring that right now. I think that they should view Michigan's resume more favorably because of that non-conference matchup against Oklahoma. So the trap that the committee is setting themselves right now is if they're just going to go by eye test and say, well, who wins on a neutral site, this weekend, then they're not going to honor head-to-head. And they're also going to devalue non-conference blue blood opponents, which is bad for the sport moving forward.
Totally agree.
It's a tough position because, again, I don't disagree with the ranking, but it also speaks to kind of the brokenness of the nature of this thing. I don't think that we should have a selection-based playoff. I think we should have an access-based playoff so we can remove some of this ambiguity and the problems that exist in trying to place and rank teams in this fashion.
So I try not to be a hypocrite. And in my career as America's honesty broker, I have bounced around the country for better jobs. Okay, so so I'm not going to be a hypocrite when somebody is highly mobile in their career. So everybody's like, hey, Lane Kiffin is going to tarnish his reputation. His reputation has always been, you have a job, I'll travel. You can fire me in a tarmac. I'll leave you on one.
I mean, he was fired on a tarmac.
Right.
Yes.
So my take is Brian Kelly never went to charm school. LSU's like, he's available. Let's go get him. College football has become more NFL. It's cutthroat. LSU's like, what do we care about Ole Miss? He's the best coach in the country. I don't think it hurts Lane Kiffin. I feel bad for Ole Miss because I really do think, I don't think they're as good as Ohio State. I think they could beat Oregon. I think they could beat Georgia. I think they could beat Indiana, maybe. So I'm more bothered that selfishly, I want to see Ole Miss in the playoff with Kiffin because I think they can beat everybody except Ohio State. That's my problem, not somebody wants me, I'm going to go.
Okay, so there's I think 8 things that you just said that I disagree with. I'm trying to remember all of them. Let me try my best. First of all, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
In all of your movement, and you've moved around, you've worked at multiple networks and done different things, and more power to you. That agency is great for you and your family, and I don't begrudge that.
Yeah.
At any point, did you leave in the middle of a contract?
I left early, and I left 6 months early. I also started negotiating with another company, 2 companies, 9 months before I was allowed to.
Okay, so you're just revealing your character to all of America here.
Yeah.
I would say this about Lane. Lane has been given a lot of cover, and I like Lane, and he's very good for college football. He's great for college football.
Yes.
And Colin, he is a very good coach. He's not one of the best coaches in America, though. He has not been to a playoff. He happens to be a big fish right now in a small pond, and it's advantageous for him because of that. There's big jobs open and a really weak class of coaches or pool of coaches that are candidates. Part of the reason why there is a weak pool of candidates is because there are other coaches that are unwilling to do what Lane is doing, which is leave a team in the middle of a playoff run.
Yeah.
That cannot be overstated. Yeah. You see, he's wanting to lament, and those that run cover for him, want to lament the calendar. And while they are correct, the calendar is clearly broken in college football. We can do 30 minutes on the calendar right here. I agree with that take. The problem is that it's the same calendar for Dan Lanning at Oregon, and it's the same calendar for Curt Cignetti at Indiana, and Mike Elko at Texas A&M, and Rhett Lashley at SMU. And yet they, with their agency, chose to stay where they're at. Okay, and stay within their playoff run. And you could make a strong argument that Rhett Lashley and Curt Cignetti could be looking at their spots, Indiana and SMU, and think to themselves, I tell you what, grass is probably greener at Florida or LSU. Meanwhile, Lane has turned Ole Miss into a premier program in the SEC. I would make the argument he doesn't have to leave. This is not college football of 10 years ago where you have to be at one of 3 or 4 places in order to compete for and win a national championship.
That's fair.
He doesn't have to leave. And my last point would just be, as a coach, when you stand in front of your players, your currency is your credibility. And your credibility with those players is tied directly to your character. The only thing they care about is how much you care about them. And if he does this and he leaves, which it looks like he's going to, it looks like he's going to LSU, he will destroy his credibility. In front of what team that he stands in front of can he say, like, hey, commit to me and choose, lay down yourself and let's commit to something bigger than ourselves and let's go achieve something great. In the back of their minds, they're going to be like, well, what if something better pops up for you, Lane? What if the Dallas Cowboys call? Are you going to leave us in the middle of a playoff run? Because he's the play caller at Ole Miss. He decimates that program and that offense and their opportunity to win at the top level if he leaves. So that's all I would say is, listen, I like Lane. I think he's great for the sport. But this excuse that the calendar is forcing him into this decision is wrong. The calendar is the same for all the other coaches in the country, which have said that they will stay and committed to the places that they've been in. He's doing a disservice to the players he's coaching now, currently, and I feel bad for him.
My only disagreement there is you say coaches stand in front of players and ask for commitment. No, in 2025, coaches stand in front of players with envelopes full of cash and hand it to them because that's what the sport is.
It has become more transactional. I will give you that.
That's what it is.
And this is not an easy scenario. I will give you that. But at the end of the day, he's the one that has to stand and look in front of the mirror. And if he does this, by the way, he will be authoring one of what was now the 5 messiest exits in football coaching history. Al Davis with the overhead projector. Tennessee leaves in the middle of the night. They riot. They're burning couches, throwing them outside of the balconies. Tarmac at USC. Remember, Nick Saban didn't want to deal with Lane waffling back and forth about the FAU job, so he said, beat it before the national championship game. Didn't even let him call plays in the national championship game.
Yeah, so I don't like his exit.
This has been a trend for him.
Yeah, no. Listen, I've said I wouldn't do all this stuff. I even have friends at the old place. I don't like sloppy exits. I don't like it, but I think college football needs to create. I mean, you can't go rob the Chiefs of Andy Reid during the playoffs. College football has needed a czar. That's why UFC.
And that's why I started with that. Like, I agree the calendar is broken. We need to fix that. There's no doubt. I just don't want that to run cover for what I feel like is a poor decision.
Okay, so let me defend Lincoln Riley first. If he beats UCLA and wins a bowl game, they go 11-3, losing 2 of their 3 losses are at Notre Dame and at Oregon. I'm sorry, but that's not a bad season when they return almost all of their top players. I mean, they really have a good recruiting class. Their O-line, their D-line come back. If they beat UCLA, should. And if they win a bowl game over whoever, Utah, something like that. The downside is, I think I can also say this. 4 years in, when they play the best teams, the special teams are often a disaster and the defense is mid, and I'm being kind with mid. What are they? And I just think 4 years in, the offense was clever with Lincoln the first day he was there. That's never changed. But the defense and special teams in big games feels below average. What are they? Is that a fair criticism?
I think it's totally fair. I think that they're better than what they were last year, certainly. They've gone from losing those close games to winning a lot of those close games. But at the top end, they're not competing like you would hope they would compete when they face a team like Notre Dame or Oregon. And I think they would lament not closing out that Illinois game, which they had the lead late in that Illinois game on the road. And they couldn't stop the run in that game. They've got to get better, more physical and more stout in the middle of their defense. The defensive line is young and will be better next year.
Yes.
They are very good, I think, in the coming years on the defensive line. They've got to get better at linebacker and more stout.
Yeah, they're weak, actually.
That is an area of weakness that it has to turn around. Now, with this number 1 recruiting class that they've got, I do still believe that that's an upward trajectory. They couldn't get to 11 wins, I don't believe. They can get to 9 potentially in the regular season. They could go 9-3 and then maybe a 10th win in the bowl game.
Yeah, my bad. I said 11. It's 10. My bad.
But 10 wins, to your point, like, that's a huge mark of demarcation in college football that still means something and certainly would mean progress at USC. In particular with the class that they've got coming in next year. So I still believe that they're on an upward trajectory, but there are clear areas where if they don't fix, then this will continue to happen. If they don't fix the interior of their defense, in particular at linebacker, this will continue to happen because those teams that they're playing, the Michigans, the Ohio's, I know they beat Michigan, but Ohio States of the world, the Oregons of the world, those teams are elite and will be elite every single year.
Yeah. All right, good stuff. We just, listen, I know you can't make predictions. I think Ohio State 30-13. And I think if, as long as one of them can play, one of their great receivers can play, I think this defense, I love Underwood, I love Marsh, and I was a big Harbaugh guy. Mm-hmm. But boy, I'm telling you right now, that Julian Sand doesn't make mistakes.
Doesn't.
And that defense is a top 5 college defense. You can go back to Steve Ettman in Washington. Yep. Nick Saban had a defense.
In 2011, they were great in 2011.
Yeah. Like
Georgia in 21 was exceptional.
This is an all-time defense.
Yep.
I can't wait. And
I can't wait either. And by the way, it's supposed to be just like prototypical weather. 30 with snow flurries. Let's go.
Hey, by the way, I just want to make it clear. Just because I left the other place early, I've changed. I am now only committed to Fox, iHeart, and Joel Klatt. That was the old me.
No, I disagree. I see you out there. You got other college football guys that you've got on whatever you're doing everywhere else. And I'm like, okay, I feel, I feel a little cheated on, Colin. I'll be honest, but that's all right. That's all right. I know I disagree. I can be disagreeable at times.
It's my favorite part of you, actually. Have a great time. I can't wait to watch.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving to you, your whole staff, everybody listening. I hope you guys have a great weekend.
I mean, I get Michigan, Ohio State in Ann Arbor. It's just, rivalries. There's not that. The NFL is not a rivalry sport. Kansas City, Buffalo feels like something, but that's kind of quarterback led. 10 years ago, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. Yeah, I don't care. Baseball, Giants, Dodgers, nobody cares. Dodgers are global. Dodgers, Yankees feels big. Michigan, Ohio State, that is goosebump stuff. I'm going to turn the air conditioning up at my house and put a jacket on so I feel like I'm there. I'm going to turn the temperature down in my house like 41 degrees. I don't care if the dogs are upset, and I'm going to wear a hoodie and just to feel like I'm there. College football's newest playoff picture came out last night. People get worked up. Miami doesn't like it that they beat Notre Dame early in the year, and now they trail Notre Dame. I do think Notre Dame today would beat Miami, but I've said this, and we're putting it on the screen for our television audience. Notre Dame's at 9. Miami is at 12. Again, it's very close. Miami should probably beat Pitt this weekend, which Notre Dame just hammered by a couple touchdowns. I could see Miami losing to Pitt, so before they squawk too much. But here is a memo to college football fans. You got to stop holding on to 1988. College football is now about 40% NFL. Players get paid millions. There's free agency. It's called the portal. And head-to-head's important, but not as important. College football, the last 3 years, has morphed into about 40% NFL. It's a little like Ozempic that was created for type 2 diabetes, and it's still good for that. But it really now is a weight loss drug. Or Propecia, which was for a prostate treatment. It still works for that. But it's now a vanity drug for hair retention. Okay. College football is, mostly still college football, but not entirely. Yes, head-to-head matters in the NFL. It's a tiebreaker. Nobody's saying it doesn't matter, but it's not that big of a deal, and you don't need it very often. And yes, Miami's 9-2, and Notre Dame's 9-2, and Miami beat them in August, which, by the way, in August, Arch Manning was the number 1 player in college football. In August, James Franklin's Penn State Nittany Lions weren't they first or second? In August, J.J. McCarthy was still good. August in Miami comes down to the end. C.J. Carr's first start, and Miami at home, and home matters a lot more in college than pro. They narrowly win. But Miami's also got 2 really ugly losses, one of them to unranked Louisville. And you know this, and I know this. Ugly losses, highly punitive in college football rankings. They leave a stain. Everybody loses to good teams. Notre Dame lost to a couple good teams. That nobody holds it against you if you're Notre Dame losing to, like, A&M or Miami. In fact, people will say, I appreciate them scheduling those games, right? The A&M Notre Dame game. You get credit for scheduling Ohio State out of conference or Texas A&M. But where you get dinged is you lost to unranked Louisville. You lost to SMU. So, again, I think it's close. I think Miami should worry about beating Pitt. I think Pitt's got a chance to beat them. I think Notre Dame today is better. But, my take on all this stuff is college football has the oldest audience. I think it now is as old as baseball's audience. And there's a lot of traditionalists. People are outraged when I suggest USC and Notre Dame. What if they play every other year, every third year? That's outrageous. Not really. It's like baseball. People get all fired up with a pitch clock and defensive shift and get rid of this and pitchers don't hit. It's not outrageous. It doesn't rise to that. I think Notre Dame's better than Miami. I think it's really close. I think Miami won in August at home in the first start for Notre Dame's quarterback. But I just think what we have to realize is head-to-head it's not the be-all, end-all. 2 ugly losses. Think about last year. Alabama was really good at the end of the year, didn't get into the playoff. Why? That ugly loss to Vandy. You were watching it, I was watching it. You're like, Alabama's losing badly to Vandy? You couldn't unsee it. It's one thing to lose to Oklahoma, which they did. It's another to lose to Vandy, regardless of how good you think the Vandy coach is. Here's Urban Meyer on Notre Dame since their 2 losses.
I think they're certainly a better team. I've watched them a bunch. I love their coach. I watch him for a lot of reasons. Chris Ash worked for me on defense. They didn't look very good at the beginning. They look great. So this competition, yeah, they played, and we called that. The members of our Big Noon, and I think you might have called it. After week 2, said they're going to be in the playoffs and win the rest of them when you looked at their schedule. They're better than everybody they played.
So for the Miami fans who say, hey, we beat them in August, here was college football's AP top rankings after week 1 in September. Penn State was number 2. They fired their coach. LSU was number 3. They fired their coach. Miami was number 5. They've lost to Louisville and SMU. So just like the NFL, nobody gets too worked up about Labor Day, first 3 weeks of the year. Belichick was never a great September coach. Sean Payton's a 500 coach in September. College football going forward, we're just not going to take September that seriously. With the NIL and all the transfer portal, these teams are brand new. You got 9 different starters on offense and defense. I just can't take, Texas, Ohio State, I said as long as it's close, and it was, I don't really care who wins and loses. It doesn't matter. Ohio State last year lost to Oregon early and Michigan late, and they won the national championship. So September in the NFL is fun. It doesn't really matter. September in college football, it matters a little more, but it doesn't matter as much as it used to. Good stuff today. Kids table to the big adult table. We're going to go at the end of the hour, take all these young quarterbacks. Some are still at the kids table. At some point, all of us in life graduate to the adults table. Where is Jackson Dart? Cam Ward? Where is Shedeur Sanders? We'll have that in about 15 minutes. First, JMAC with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
I would assume J.J. McCarthy's probably eating with the dog outside, right? Something like that. Anyways, all right, let's get started with the Chiefs. They're playing on Thanksgiving. I did not know this. It's the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career he will be playing on Thanksgiving. KC visits Dallas. I got some fun stuff on this game later on, Colin, in headlines. I think you'll be surprised. Mahomes is from Texas. He's going to have a lot of friends and family at Jerry World, probably looking to put on a show. Reportedly 50 people in the Mahomes orbit will be at the game. Here he is talking about the excited Thanksgiving game.
You grow up watching Thanksgiving games, no matter who you're a fan of. If it's the Lions, the Cowboys, or whoever's playing at night, I mean, you grew up watching those games. And so I think as that kid in me wants to be able to go out there and play on Thanksgiving and find a way to win. And obviously, short week, we're grinding in here right now and getting the whole game plan in and making sure everybody's prepared and ready to go. But I think we're excited to get to go out there and play on Thanksgiving against a really good football team and the whole world watching.
Yeah, I think it's a good game. I think you have one really, really good defense, one emerging defense, one excellent offense, and one offense that's pretty good at home, not as good on the road. I think it comes out. I think it's a very, very good football game. It's hard for me to take Kansas City. I think they're the better team, but it is hard for me to take them with the hook. Dallas, home, getting the hook. I probably take the Cowboys again. I regretted not taking them against Philly because you talked me into it, and I was going to do it, and it was the last game I dropped, and I made a mistake.
Yeah, I don't think the Chiefs have won on the road since, like, the Tyreek Hill era. They're really struggling on the road. Now, how about this, Colin? I'll give you a little teaser here. So I just looked at the Chiefs' schedule this season. They have struggled on the road. Can you believe this is their first indoor game of the football season? First indoor game on the fast track. We get finally Worthy Rice. Could be so the over got smashed earlier this week. I don't know where it is now, but I got 52. This could be one of these like, holy hell, it's 40-37 kind of games because we haven't seen Worthy do anything recently. But then you look and you're like, oh, it's all outdoor games. Yep. He doesn't have that super edge. So I'm very excited for this game. Next up, Colin. Listen, the Lane Kiffin saga, we followed this very closely. Yesterday, Urban Meyer stopped by and gave his opinion on what Lane Kiffin should do. Here's what he said.
This is uncharted waters, though, to leave a team that could potentially, and you tell me other than Ohio State maybe, and you have A&M, Ohio State, Indiana, I'm telling you, Ole Miss is right there. How do you walk in that meeting and say, hey, guys, I'm not only leaving, I'm going to be playing you next year? You know, I don't know.
Good take. So when Cignetti left JMU for Indiana, he brought all his guys with him.
Yeah.
All I keep hearing about LSU, you recruit, you get the best guys. Would Lane even bring his guys from Ole Miss? Or would he just go get five-star guys? I
think he'd bring Ed Orgeron on as the defensive line coach or defensive coordinator. Yeah.
So I'll give my take. If they win this game, the Egg Bowl, I think he stays. If they lose, it makes it much easier to leave because they're not a lock for the playoff, Colin, if they lose this game.
And that game is a 5-6 point spread. It'll be a close game.
I saw 7. Wow. Is it okay? Maybe it's going down, but listen, you can't just walk into Stark Vegas and expect to get a dub on Black Friday. This is a tough one for Lane. I mean, listen, you've jumped around. You keep talking about the old place.
No, I mean,
what was the mindset in the shows before you had a big decision to make? Because I don't know, is Lane locked in this week, or is he looking at real estate?
For me, it's always, is it good for the family? Is it good for the trajectory of the career? If it's 2 checks, then it's gone. It is good for the career, good for the family. No, it's usually family first. I say, Ann, are you willing? Okay. Is it good for the career? Boom. I mean, to me, and this is a better job, comes down to the family. I mean, I'm not saying I know I'm doing it right or wrong. I'm just saying nobody cares about, I'll be a legend at Ole Miss. That's not what people care about. I don't buy that.
So, final question on this. Like, I know you root for chaos. That's your phrase, right?
Interesting,
What are you rooting for here? What's the most interesting? Because I think we disagree on
I want Ole Miss to get to the national championship against Ohio State.
With Lane Kiffin or without?
Yeah, with Lane Kiffin.
I'm rooting for him to stay. Also, kind of a middle finger to LSU. You guys, you get your act together. No, thank you. I want no part of that. Final story, Colin. Let's go back to Lamar Jackson. And, listen, the running numbers for this guy are staggering. It's almost like, is he old? And then you look at his age, you're like, he's not even close to 30. Colin, these numbers are really bad. This season, in 8 starts, he's averaging 29 rushing yards per game.
Yeah.
And he's getting sacked more. So is it less about he doesn't want to run and get hurt, or is he just not as fleet of foot as he used to be? Look on the screen there. He was rarely getting sacked. He's not as elusive as he was before.
He is hurt, and players don't like to advertise they are hurt. Brock Purdy is not 100%. Those interceptions on Monday, those balls had no velocity at all. Brock's not going to go, yeah, I'm not 100%. He's not that kind of kid. Either is Lamar. They're both, obviously, Brock and Lamar are not at 100%. And I'm a bigger Lamar fan than a Brock fan, but go watch the Brock Purdy interceptions on YouTube. Yeah. All of them are behind the receiver and hang in the air. He doesn't have a Josh Allen arm, but Brock's got a better arm than that. Brock's hurt.
So do you believe on Monday the take will be, man, Ravens, they could not beat the Bengals. They couldn't get separation. They're out of the Super Bowl bubble. Or, holy cow, the Ravens woke up. Lamar was just sandbagging everybody, and the Ravens kind of put it on the Bengals.
I don't think they put it on them. I think it's a division game, and I'll take, 26-20 or 28-24. I would take the dog, but I think it's a very competitive divisional game, and I can't wait to watch Burrow play. JMAC with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
There's all these young quarterbacks. There's Jackson Dart. There's Caleb Williams. There's Bo Nix. There's J.J. McCarthy. There is Drake May. There is Bryce Young. There is Cam Ward. There's Shedeur Sanders. We all grow up eating the kids' table. Are they ready on Thanksgiving to go to the adult table? We'll talk about that coming up. It's the Herd. Thanksgiving is upon us, and the NFL is serving up a full plate of matchups beginning tomorrow right here on Fox. I have J-Mac's 5 picks. His last pick is I already know which way it's going because it's a really great pick. Yeah. And I know exactly what you're going to say, why you like the team you like, but we'll let the audience wait for about 5 minutes. But I think your last pick is really a sharp pick. So we call this tomorrow's headlines today. Packers, Lions. I think we disagree here. What do you say?
Yeah, listen, I love the Thanksgiving games. First of all, KC, Dallas is going to be great. We'll get there shortly. But this game I'm fascinated with, Colin. I really do believe one of these teams could be Super Bowl bound. The headline for Packers, Lions will be, let me see you, Cassie roll. Motown gets green baked. Yes, sir. Give me the Green Bay Packers here. Colin, how about this stat? This is the first time the Packers have been underdogs all season. First time. I'm telling you, there's a big disconnect between what the public sees with Green Bay and what they've seen this season and what the market thinks. I'm just telling you, if you think the Packers are the side this week, you probably want to bet them to win the Super Bowl because I'm telling you, this is a great matchup for the Packers. They run a lot of stunts, right, Colin, where Micah Parsons starts on the edge and then comes in. Guess where Detroit's weakest? Interior offensive line. Goff got beat up last week by the Giants. And speaking of last week, I know you want to kind of poo-poo it. That was a look-ahead game. I get that. That's fine. The defense was on the field for 77 plays against Jameis Winston and company, okay? I think even though Love has a busted-up shoulder and he had to hand off with his right hand regardless of which side, not great, I think the Packers have some success. Keep an eye on Christian Watson against the Detroit man defense. Watson's a burner, indoors. There's a world where he erupts. I'm starting him in all my fantasy leagues. I like the Packers here, Colin.
Tomorrow's headlines today. Chiefs at the Cowboys.
Yeah, I think I'm 5-0 picking against the Chiefs this season. That was my offseason take. I'm public enemy number 1 in KC. The headline for Chiefs Cowboys will be simply delicious. Boys pickins their teeth and go Dak for seconds. Yes, I'm going with Dallas here. It's weird. This is the same team, Colin, that lost to Arizona at home. Remember that a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
And then they lost to Carolina on the road. And we know Carolina's not good. But for whatever reason, for the big boys, Dallas shows up. Both games against Philly were really close and tight, and they pulled one out. I do believe this Dallas offense is going to give KC a world of problems. Spagnuolo, what's his DNA? Blitz, blitz, blitz. You had the stat earlier. Dak's like one of the best quarterbacks in the league against a blitz this season. And I know McDuffie is thought of as a superstar. He's better on the inside. He's playing a lot of outside. He's having a good season. But he's not like a lockdown corner that he was when they had Snead on the outside. Now, just to be clear, Kansas City, first indoor game this season.
Yeah.
Worthy and Rice, they could eat. But Kansas City, weird. Like the last 3 weeks, Colin, they played run-heavy teams. Denver, Buffalo, and then last week, I'm forgetting who they played. Oh, the Colts with Jonathan Taylor. Dallas is not run-heavy. So I do believe there's going to be points here. I'm on the over. And give me the 3.5, the hook if you can get it. Dallas Cowboys, I like them to win outright, Colin.
All right, tomorrow's headlines today. Big AFC South battle. Texans better at home usually, at the Colts.
Yeah, not a sexy game, but this is one of my bigger ones this month. The headline for Colts Texans will be lost track of time. Texans salty after dashes of Danny. Yes, I do believe the Texans are overvalued here, coming off that win against Buffalo. By the way, Buffalo's tackles were both beat up in that game. Neither of them is practicing right now. So that's part of why Will Anderson and Hunter looked so good in that game. At the same time, I'm keeping a track on C.J. Stroud. So he's at practice as of like 6 minutes ago. Still has not been cleared from concussion protocol, but he might be. And that would be a big get back. But this is about the Colts, Colin. Remember, last few games, they played outdoors at Pittsburgh, looked kind of slow. They played outdoors last week against KC, looked kind of slow. The game in Berlin didn't have the same pop. They're coming back to the Dome now, Colin. I think this is a Steichen special. Danny Dimes has a real big game. And keep an eye on Jonathan Taylor, obviously on the ground. I like the Colts here at home. Sauce Gardner, also versus Nico Collins. I think that's a good matchup. I don't know if you saw this. The Patrick Mahomes passing chart last week, he did not throw to the left side of the field at all, like 0 completions. Sauce Gardner was over there a lot. So I think Sauce really changes the calculus of this defense. I like the Colts.
Tomorrow's headlines today. I got a feeling I know where you're leaning here. Raiders at the Chargers. Chargers off a bye.
So me and a buddy are still alive in Survivor, and we like the Chargers this week. I know divisional matchups are scary, but the headline for Chargers Raiders will be much ado about stuffing. Chargers keep the Genty in a bottle. That's assuming Genty even plays, Colin. He got busted up the ankle. Yeah. I mean, listen, the Raiders are in disarray. I don't know what to make of your boy Chip Kelly. He got fired. They fired his right-hand man. I mean, they got some guy who's been there forever calling plays. I don't really understand how they have a chance here against Harbaugh and company. Did you see what Harbaugh did, by the way, for the team? Gave them extra days off on the bye week just to kind of recalibrate, chill out, get your mind right after getting spanked by the Jags. I think the Chargers are okay here. By the way, they destroyed the Raiders in 2 matchups last season. I think a big coaching edge for Harbaugh. And they have Derwin James. Remember, he's like the Travis Kelce stopper. I think he does a good enough job on Brock Bowers. Did a good job twice last season. That I think the Chargers get it done. Really hoping that Omarion Hampton, the great rookie running back, I hope he returns. Still no clarity if he's going to be back this week.
This final one, I think I probably should have included this in the Blazing Five. Tomorrow's headlines today, the weary Giants travel again, this time to the Patriots.
Yeah, Giants, I don't know what to make of this team. So they covered against Detroit. They nearly beat Green Bay outright. They got a push there. Jameis is showing up. Do you start him again or Jackson Dart? The headline for Patriots Giants on Sunday will be Diggs in a blanket. Pats wrap things up before dinner. I'm rolling with Drake May a little reluctantly. Colin, I just saw the news. Will Campbell, the rookie left tackle, just placed on IR. So he's out this week, out for the next 4. That's not great news, given the Giants having edge rushers galore with Brian Burns and company. So I have some skepticism, but this is just basically hand the ball off to Stevenson and Henderson and let them cook, right? The Giants have the worst run defense in the league by a mile. Gibbs just went for 215 or whatever on the ground. So I think this is pretty easy. But I do wonder, Colin, in the back of my head, are the Patriots like getting a little fatigued? Is the pressure wearing on them? Because they have not looked amazing the last couple of weeks. That game against Cincinnati was disappointing. All the failures inside the 5-yard line. So I'm on the Patriots here. I like a flat 7 better than a 7.5. I don't know. Jameis Winston keeps shocking me the way he's playing. I did not see this out of him, but I'm rolling with the Patriots here as big favorites.
You know, we talked about it this week. I've never really thought about it this way, but something just came up to me watching Jameis Winston this week, is that there's 3 kinds of quarterbacks. There's franchise guys, and there's always been backups. And you can tell the backups, they get drafted 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, or it's a high-round pick that you know pretty early is not going to work. Jameis is the classic, to me, bridge. You can start him for a year and win 8 or 9 games. I think honestly, right now in Carolina, they're trying to figure out what Bryce Young is. Is he like the best bridge in the league? Because he's all over the map. I mean, and he's got 2 good receivers. He's got a star back. The defense is better. He's all over the map. He's in the 80s on pat, and he's got an offensive coach. Bryce Young should be better. It's also a weak, wonky division. So it's Bryce Young, Mac Jones, by the way. I think is a great bridge. I'm not building around him. Now, I think Sam Darnold is a franchise guy. I think a lot of people before Seattle were very, they were very cynical, like, it was Minnesota. Now you watch him and you're like, okay, he's a franchise guy. Winning record Carolina, great year Minnesota, great year in Seattle. Mac Jones, bridge guy. I think Bryce Young probably falls into that. But when you ask about Jameis Winston, he is the classic bridge. Like, you're not going to build around him and hire coordinators for him. But, dude, if I said against the Patriots, he threw for 4 touchdowns, you would not be shocked. And he also threw 3 picks.
Let me ask you, you mentioned Bryce Young as a bridge guy. Do you keep him one more year, you do not extend him, and you draft a guy like Carson Beck, which is his polar opposite? I know nobody likes Beck. Listen, man, he's going to be drafted, okay? He's 6'4" with a huge arm. He's the opposite of Young, who's small and was highly touted. So I think you're probably onto something there. All I know is if Jameis is a bridge, I don't want him bridging anybody with the New York Jets. Keep him with the Giants.
No.
Maybe it's 2 weeks of fool's gold. I don't want him with the Jets. No.
I mean, I think Justin Fields, we've gotten to a point.
Yeah.
He may just be a backup.
He's definitely not even a bridge. No.
Yeah, no, he's moved out of the bridge. But I will say, in this quarterback class, I think Mac Jones. I'll tell you another guy that's very interesting, Davis Mills. I got to tell you, I'm watching him.
You could go into week 1 starting Davis Mills, and your whole team is going to think, like, what are we doing? We're not going anywhere with Davis.
I thought he was pretty good against the Bills. I mean, he didn't shrink.
He was solid. Come on.
All right. Maybe I like bridges more than you. I'm getting old. I'll start playing bridge here pretty quick.
The bridges of Colin Cowherd County.
See you next week. It takes a long time to go from a terrible baseball team to a World Series team. But in the NFL, you can be the New England Patriots, like a hazmat spill. You get Drake May, you get Mike Vrabel, Josh McCown, and Josh McDaniel, and all of a sudden, you're the number 1 seed. It's the sport of hope. You get the head coach, the coordinator, and the quarterback right, and you are suddenly a Super Bowl contender. But it's all centered. College football is about the coach. Pro football is about the quarterback. And we've got a lot of young quarterbacks. Thanksgiving's tomorrow. They all start week 1 in the NFL as rookies at the kids' table until they graduate to the Stafford table. Or they graduate to the Justin Herbert or the Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen table. So, JMAC, let's determine kids' table or adult table for these young signal callers.
All right, Colin, you ready for this? Here we go. Will it be the kids' table or the big quarterback table for Drake May?
He has already pivoted to the big quarterback table. Listen, he's better than even people who liked him thought. Leads the NFL in completion percentage at a remarkable 71%. Best record in the NFL. Already has well over 3,000 yards. Right now, he feels like a top 6-7 quarterback today in the league. Durable, big, accurate, winning.
So we're crowning him. Okay, I like it. All right, kids table or big quarterback table for Jackson Dart?
He's still at the kids table. JMac, in 8 games, he's checked into the blue tent 4 times. He's already, he leads quarterbacks in rush attempts, which I am a fan of young quarterbacks using their athletic ability and feet to move the chains as they grow. But right now, from the pocket, still have my doubts. He's a risk taker. He moves well, a lot of confidence. Probably one more Thanksgiving from moving, to a glass of wine.
All right. Well, this one's going to divide the audience. Kids table or big quarterback table for your guy, Caleb Williams?
He's at the big boy table.
Come on.
4-0 in November. One of 3 quarterbacks with 30 touchdown passes and 10 or fewer interceptions over the last 2 years. You want to hear the other ones? Stafford, Lamar, and your guy, Jalen Hurts. Caleb Williams is comfortably sitting next to Grandpa.
Oh, my God. That is troubling. Kids table or big quarterback table for Bo Nix, your other best friend?
Come on. Adult table. Not even close. I mean,
What?
9 total touchdowns in the fourth quarter, ranked 2nd in the league. Leads the NFL with 8 game-winning drives last 2 seasons. Top 10 in wins, passing yards, touchdown passes. I mean, come on. He's getting the leg.
You're the teacher I wish I had in like 11th grade biology. Kids table or big quarterback table for Bryce Young?
Too inconsistent. I'm sorry. You watched it Monday. He shrank in a big spot. I'm sorry. He's a great kid. But you, very early on, you were like, he doesn't look the part. 90 or worse passer rating in 9 of his 11 starts. And I like his coach, Enrico Dowdle. He's got a couple of young but very talented wide receivers. Their defense is better. But he is 12-27 since he entered the league. Kids table.
Not great. We should probably skip this one, but we'll do it anyway. Kids table or big quarterback table for J.J. McCarthy?
Well, in the second and third quarters this year, he has a 27 passer rating. So I don't even want to be mean. Kids table. In fact, the other kids let him go first and pick.
Oh,
he's struggling. I feel bad for the kid. He's struggling.
It's early. He'll turn it around. Kids table or big quarterback table for Cam Ward?
I'm going to put him at the big boy table.
Ooh.
I think he's really talented. I think he's not getting any help. He's the most sacked quarterback. They fired their coach. Reminds me a lot of a less talented Chicago Bear mess last year. The Bears had more players. I think Cam Ward's good. Like last weekend, it's finally coming around. But last year, Caleb, everybody said he was terrible. 20 touchdowns, 6 picks. This was a multiple touchdown game against the Seahawks. He's growing on me. Now, I'm not saying he gets the stuffing last. He's not getting the mashed potatoes first at the adult table, but I'm going to put him there. I think I see some potential stardom.
Yeah, I agree. Finally, a kids table or a big quarterback table for Shedeur Sanders?
Neither. We're putting him in a new table, the legendary table. Led every quarterback.
Oh. Wait, is that a high chair?
No.
Jeez.
Legendary. Hey, led the NFL last week. Yards per attempt.
Wow. Last week.
You know what? I took some of the motif on his draft room legendary. I just moved it over to Thanksgiving.
Did you just use motif on a sports show? Oh my gosh. Cowherd in his bag here. Listen, the Shedeur hive online is coming after you for this. Boy, well, damn, that is.
I will say this.
He's in.
When you know my rule on quarterbacks. If your college problem is your NFL problem, you're in trouble. Johnny Manziel ran around too much. You watch them in the pros, you're like, yeah, that stuff is not going to work. If Caleb Williams struggled with accuracy, struggles in the NFL, it's my only criticism of him. Got to be a little bit more accurate.
Yeah. Does the legendary table eat before the kids table or no?
It's somewhere in between.
Okay. All right.
They do serve wine at the legendary table.
Oh, really? Wine? All right.
Not at the kids table.
Okay.
All right. But here's what I'd say about Shedeur Sanders. The opposite is also true. When I watched him last week, I saw Colorado Shedeur, and I thought Colorado Shedeur was a mid-first, mid-second round pick. He moves better than anybody gives him credit for. Stop saying he's a pocket quarterback. He has a couple spin moves. He moves. He's not as quick to me as like a Bo Nix. He's not quite that twitchy, but he's a good athlete. Yeah. He has a average to average plus arm. By the way, on the deep throws, accurate, and it does help. I will say this. I know in Cleveland, everybody's banging on Stefanski, but one of the things, JMAC, that you and I can't argue about, it has been a clear advantage to have an offensive coach if you're a rookie.
Yeah.
Bo Nix, Caleb Williams. Okay, Raheem Morris, that's who Mike Penix gets. Right now, you can say,
well, how come Penix isn't he? He's not even invited to Thanksgiving?
Well, he's hurt. I don't know what to do with that.
So I need to ask you. So Bryce Young, who's in multiple years in the league, couldn't do anything against a Robert Saleh defense. If Shedeur goes out and has a passable game against Saleh and the Niners,
then there's
people
your
are going to freak out. People are going to be like, this is your starter next year. So just be ready for that, because Sunday the slate is not great. All the good teams are fired on Thanksgiving Day. So Shedeur could have a game against Saleh at home. It's inclement weather, so maybe that'll throw a wrinkle in that. But
yeah, I feel like some of the Shedeur stuff is a little bit like Tebow. People are talking about conspiracy theories. He's got a very fanatical, following. It's very tribal. The difference is, I think Shedeur throws an NFL ball. I think I think Tebow was always a little bit, in terms of athletic ability, a little overstated. I think Shedeur's athletic ability is understated. And the other thing about Shedeur that I think he's too goofy and playful for me. I wish he was a little more serious.
He's like, what is he, 23 years old?
Well, but we've always said it's not fair, but I do need my cornerbacks to be grown-ups. I don't care about any other position. There are certain things in life. If you're working in the ICU in a hospital and you're 24, you can't be at Senior Froggies the night before knocking down 12 tequilas. I need you to be a grown-up. There are pilot. You can't be out at the bar night before if you're a 25-year-old pilot. Pilot, surgeons, quarterbacks. I'm sorry it's unfair. You have to be more mature. That's part of it, right? Surgeon, pilot, quarterback. So you have to be a different 24.
So 2 occupations that literally save lives, and then a quarterback who throws a pigskin.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, got it. That makes sense.
Another one of my analogies that nailed it. All right, hour number 3 coming up on a Wednesday.